What if I told you that I was able to get a job as a digital marketing data analyst without having a degree in the field, without getting an internship in the field, and then slowly but surely building the right skills and then successfully getting the job? Yes, that's right. I'm going to tell you how I got a job as a senior digital marketing data analyst without a degree in the field, without any programming skills, starting from when I was a fresher out of college, a young grad, a new grad, and how I built up to this. Now, I do want to emphasize that this is not some, get rich quick scheme or, just flip a switch and it's super easy and you could do it in like a few weeks or less. Anything worthwhile in life does require a bit more patience and work than that, but I don't think it's unattainable. It took multiple years, but to think that I was able to do this without a degree in the field or much programming knowledge just shows you that it is possible. And let's say you want to make a life pivot and you think it's too late in your age. Well, it's not, because I was able to do it even though I got a degree in science. And now I'm working in something completely unrelated. So this could happen for you. It will take multiple years of effort, but I think you could probably do it, if you're really dedicated, in like 3 years. Now, also keep in mind that this is a subset of a data analyst. So this is not the same thing as a data analyst. It's a subset. This is the job I have is also called like analytics engineer. It's called a analytics solution expert specialist. It's called a digital marketing analyst, a digital analyst. It's kind of like a new emerging field where we don't really have a full name for it, but you're more so relied on to be an expert of the analytics and marketing and data visualization tools versus having to do a lot of programming. Now, some light SQL will help, but it's not as programming intensive as a data analyst. So let's get started with my story and then how you can emulate this yourself. You'll know how by the end of this video. So like I mentioned, I actually graduated with a degree in science and soon realized like there was nothing I really wanted to do with this degree. At the time, I thought I wanted to go to med school. I finished my pre-med requisites as well, but it was pretty clear like I was not passionate about going to med school at all. And because of all those things, it took a while, but it took until after I graduated to realize this was not the path I wanted to go down. It was kind of hard to part with that, especially, because, I did have some parental influence. I mean, surprise, surprise, I'm Asian. And so I made a pivot to what I found I really liked was digital marketing, social media marketing. And that was something that was just emerging at the time. There wasn't really even that many jobs, if any jobs, for that. This was like almost 10 years ago. And so at that time, there really wasn't much out there. And so it really took a while for me to make that pivot. I didn't even know if this industry would be able to sustain itself, if it would grow, or would it be just kind of like a small industry where it was hard to get jobs. So at that time, it was just really unknown. Now it's just very saturated. There's like tens of thousands of digital marketing agencies out there, and finding a job in that is much, much easier. Now, that being said, it still took about a year and a half of like soul searching, hunting. I read a few like find your job, like dream passion books. Some of them were not that helpful. Some were kind of helpful. I drew a bunch of Venn diagrams. I journaled. I watched a ton of commencement speeches on YouTube. And long and short of it is eventually I was just applying to a lot of jobs. And I actually applied to this one agency twice, and they valued my commitment. And I also even did some networking there. So there's so many ways I could have done it looking back. It was a small agency and I could drive to them within like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So I did some networking over the phone. I reached out via LinkedIn, and then one of the people who worked there was willing to talk to me. And I just did an informational interview for about 15 minutes and just did everything I could to kind of network with people in this agency. And after my second time applying to that, the founder just really admired that dedication and then brought me in for an interview. And then during that interview, I convinced them on the spot to hire me. I did a little salary negotiation, which was also thanks to a amazing course I took called Dream Job, which taught me about salary negotiation. I got a little bit more, but keep in mind it's an entry level job. I'm not being paid much at all to begin with. And so I really just wanted a job. Even if they really weren't willing to budge on salary, I would have still taken the job because I knew how hard it was to get my foot in the door in that industry. I had been applying for a while. Plus, I'd already probably done over 50 informational interviews from people I reached out to on LinkedIn to just get a sense of that industry and how hard it was, and maybe see if any of them were willing to refer me to that. Now, I talk more in depth about this whole process of networking in my other videos, and there's a lot of mistakes people make. I'll cover the big ones here, but networking is a very subtle skill. You don't want to come off transactional. You don't want to explicitly be like, hey, do you have any jobs? It's really, you really want to just get to know the person and then, go there for other reasons. You do actually want to genuinely take that informational interview and learn about the person and learn about the job and the industry and if it's a fit for you. And they on their own will, feel you out. And if they feel like you are a fit, they on their own will refer you to their company if they feel like it's a fit, and that will help your resume go to the top of the pile. And sometimes, most of the time, they will not. And similarly, the majority of the time when you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, they will not even respond. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but I just want to emphasize what I did to get my foot in the door. Now, how was I able to get this back then when it was competitive, when there was less jobs on the market at this small but growing marketing agency? Well, I think the one thing that stood out for me was having my own projects. Because I had that, I don't think I was on the same footing as everyone else. You see, I had been experimenting with social media for a long time. So I'd grown my own followings on social media multiple times over. I was one of the first on Twitter, and I grew it to about 5,000 followers. Nothing huge, but decent, especially back in those days. And then I had a YouTube channel as well, and I was one of the first on YouTube, and I grew that to hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions. And then I had a blog. Back then I was blogging about a video game I played, and over the years I grew that to millions of views through search engine optimization and quality content, and link building and all that stuff. So those things just jumped off the page and impressed the agency owners and specifically the person interviewing me, who was the founder. You also have to keep in mind that when you are applying for an entry-level job, you're competing with other people who are out of college who have not much on their resume. At best, the one highlight might be that they have a marketing degree, which still isn't that impressive in the grand scheme of things when those type of universities mostly just teach theory, outdated theory, or high-level concepts that don't apply anymore. And so I just kind of put myself in a different category because everyone else is just like, okay, this guy has nothing, this girl has a marketing degree, and okay, I'll go with the degree because there's not much substance. But for me, I had those things that I put on my resume that just put me on a higher category, even though I didn't even care or notice my degree was not in the field because of those highlights. Now, you might be like, well, I don't have that. Well, you don't need millions of views. I think if you can build some of your own projects and get it to 5,000 followers or 50,000 views, that is, I would say, almost equally as impressive. And so most candidates you're competing against don't have any of that. They have zero. And just by demonstrating you can do that, it shows so many different skill sets related to digital marketing. And it shows you how much harder digital marketing is. And so that really just opened my doors. Getting my foot into that job just like changed the trajectory of my life, because now I was in the industry. Now they were training me, mentoring me every day with real clients and real work, which exploded my experience and my skill set. Now, the industries they worked in were not necessarily the ones I wanted to get into, but I didn't care because I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I know how hard that was. So, at the time we were doing a lot of like roofing, local businesses, law firms, and then we slowly grew into B2B SaaS, which stands for software as a service. But point being, it really just, I didn't care that the industries weren't like my perfect choice, but I just wanted to get there and enjoy it. And I did. I enjoyed it. The work hours were nice. And I got so much real world experience in training and mentoring from my managers. It was fantastic. So I actually worked there for 5 years, and I would say I probably overstayed. If I could redo it, and this is my advice to you, I probably would have moved on with after like 3 years, because that's really where I started to plateau with my growth and skills. I found that I was starting to reach more of a senior level at that company. I wasn't really learning anything new at that point. I was more so teaching people about SEO and stuff versus learning. And I stayed out of loyalty. In fact, at the time, I was thinking about staying there forever because I was comfortable. I had a good thing going. I had no real concerns. The only thing I really didn't like was how my income was capped, and those type of agency digital marketer jobs just really don't pay much at all. Even with like little raises or bonuses every year to keep up with inflation, or if you go for a raise, you ask for a bigger raise, they'll maybe give you like 8% instead of 5%. So it really wasn't much. And then you have to keep in mind the entry level salary to begin with was really low. So then that's when I moved, and then I actually applied for my next job as a digital analyst. And by leveraging all the skill sets in my first job and pointing to all the numbers I had, that's how that second job was able to open the door for me. Once again, I did use networking. So while I was applying through the front door on many websites, I also had a bunch of LinkedIn networking meetings with just jobs, companies, people I was familiar with, knew, or had worked in related industries or agencies or companies. And long and short of it is, I got some job interviews from just applying through the front door. And then the job I got now, I got through a referral. It was a company and job title that I wasn't even considering. And then I was referred by someone I was networking with through LinkedIn that I reached out to. And lo and behold, they were really impressed by all the skills. And this is the thing, you have to document not just the skills you got at your previous job, but any notable before and after wins you got, any numbers. They love numbers. So if you could say something like, I increased the site traffic by 437%, which led to a 15% increase in total sales. And that led to $143,000 in revenue increase. They love numbers like that. People are very numbers driven, especially you can point to an increase and you can prove it irrefutably. And then you could talk specifically to the skills you have, like Google Tag Manager. That really just exploded my, or at least it made them see me as something interesting. And once you interview well, you do well, boom, you get the second job. And then the game is not over there. You still have to keep the job that you get. I've seen people get a new job, celebrate, get too relaxed, and then lose their job in the first 3 months. So I really worked really hard to up level at that new job. There's a bunch of new skills, but this time I wasn't being mentored as much. So I had to do a lot of self-learning on the side to learn a bit more about Google Tag Manager and some other skills that I talk about in my other videos that you need for the second job. And then lo and behold, I've been working at the second job for 3 years. I love it. And the pay is significantly better and everything is just fantastic. The job affords me a lot of freedom, allows me to work from home. It's just great. So it is possible. Believe in yourself. I think it is doable. There are a lot harder things to accomplish in this world, like becoming a NBA All-Star. So I do believe you can do this too. Keep it up. Believe in yourself. Like, comment, subscribe, and join my free email newsletter down below.